Okay, so you want to own a laundromat. Find a spot, drop in some machines, and just let people wash their clothes. Quarters roll in. You barely have to show up, and the money practically launders itself. Sounds like the dream, right? Here's the thing, though. The laundromat business is one of the weirdest, most misunderstood cash businesses in America, and almost nobody actually knows how the math works until they're standing in a room full of steel drums, wondering where all their money went. Let's start with the buy-in, because this is where most people get it completely wrong. You'd think a laundromat is cheap to start. It's not. A decent-sized laundromat, somewhere around 3,000 to 5,000 square feet, is going to run you anywhere from $300,000 to $700,000 if you're building from scratch. Yeah, that number surprises almost everyone. Why so expensive? Because commercial washers and dryers are not the same machines sitting in your apartment building. A single commercial washer can cost $8,000 to $15,000. A large capacity dryer runs similarly. Now multiply that by 20, 30, sometimes 40 machines, and you're already deep into six figures before you've paid a single dollar of rent. And that's not even counting the plumbing. Here's the part nobody tells you. Laundromats need insanely specific infrastructure. You need three-phase electrical power in most cases, industrial-grade water lines, high-capacity drainage, and often a gas line big enough to run 20 dryers at once. If the building doesn't already have that infrastructure, you're looking at another $50,000 to $100,000 just in construction and permitting before you've washed a single sock. So why do people still do this? Because once it's built, a laundromat becomes one of the most beautifully boring businesses in the world. Boring, in this case, means profitable. Look, the appeal of a laundromat isn't the excitement, it's the predictability. People will always need clean clothes. Recessions don't stop laundry. Even during 2008, even during the pandemic, laundromats kept running because unlike restaurants or retail, doing laundry isn't optional. Now let's talk about how the money actually flows in, because this is where it gets interesting. A typical wash cycle costs somewhere between $3.50 to $6, depending on the machine size and the neighborhood. A dry cycle is usually another few dollars, and most people run it twice to make sure everything's actually dry. So a single customer doing, say, 3 loads of laundry is spending somewhere around $20 to $25 per visit. Now imagine that happening 50, 80, sometimes over 100 times a day, depending on your location. That's the real engine here. It's not one big sale. It's hundreds of tiny transactions stacking up hour after hour.
Here's a stat that blows people's mind. A well-located, well-run laundromat can pull in anywhere from $15,000 to $35,000 a month in revenue. Some high-traffic urban locations, especially near apartment complexes without in-unit laundry, can push past $50,000 a month. And here's the kicker. Your cost to actually deliver that wash cycle is shockingly low. Water, a little detergent supply if you offer it, electricity and gas make up your main variable costs, and those typically eat up only 15 to 25% of revenue. Compare that to a restaurant where food costs alone can eat 30% before you even think about labor. Laundromats are lean. Brutally lean. That's the whole appeal. But, and there's always a but, this is where the design and retention side of the business becomes make or break. See, most people assume a laundromat runs itself. It doesn't. The machines run themselves. The business does not. Successful laundromat owners obsess over 3 things: location, uptime, and experience. Location first. This is not a business where you pick a cheap spot and hope for the best. The ideal laundromat sits within walking distance of dense apartment buildings that don't have in-unit washers, which, fun fact, describes an enormous chunk of urban and lower-income housing in America. Roughly a third of renters nationwide don't have laundry hookups in their unit. That's your entire customer base, built right into the neighborhood before you even open the doors. Uptime is the next obsession. Here's the brutal truth about this business. A broken machine isn't just lost revenue, it's a trust problem. If a customer walks in and 3 of your 20 washers have out-of-order signs taped to them, they don't wait around. They walk to the laundromat 2 blocks away and they might never come back. Successful owners treat machine maintenance like a religion. They're doing preventative servicing constantly because every single machine sitting broken for a week is quietly bleeding hundreds of dollars out of the business. And then there's the experience piece, which is honestly where the smart operators separate themselves from the guy who just installed machines and walked away. The modern laundromat isn't the dim, slightly sad room from 20 years ago. The ones printing real money now have free Wi-Fi. They have app-based payment instead of quarters. They have clean folding tables, sometimes even a coffee machine or vending snacks. Why? Because people are sitting there for 45 minutes to an hour waiting on their laundry, and every extra dollar you can capture from a bored, captive customer is pure profit sitting right there in front of you. Now here's where we get into the myth-busting part, because this is the part almost nobody talks about. You'd think, with margins this good and demand this consistent, that laundromats would be an easy, guaranteed win. They're not. A huge number of laundromats fail, or limp along barely breaking even, despite math that looks great on paper. Why? The first reason is location mistakes that don't show up until it's too late. You can do all the demographic research in the world, but if a competitor opens 2 blocks away with newer machines, or if a new luxury apartment complex goes up nearby with in-unit laundry included, your customer base can quietly evaporate over 18 months and you won't even notice until your revenue's down 30%. The second reason is undercapitalization. This one's brutal. People spend everything they have getting the doors open, and then they don't have cash left over for the machine breakdowns that inevitably come. A commercial washer isn't a fix-it-yourself situation. A major repair can run $500 to $2,000, and if 3 machines go down in the same month, an undercapitalized owner can spiral fast. The business that looked profitable on a spreadsheet becomes a business that can't afford to fix the thing that makes it money. The third reason, and this one's almost poetic, is neglect. Because laundromats have this reputation as a passive income business, a lot of owners treat it that way from day one. They don't visit, they don't clean, they don't watch the numbers closely, and a neglected laundromat degrades fast. Dirty floors, broken machines, a busted change dispenser, and customers notice immediately. Once people associate your laundromat with unreliability, winning them back is incredibly hard because the whole point of a laundromat in someone's routine is that it's supposed to be the easy, boring choice. Let's talk real numbers on what a well-run one actually nets, because this is honestly the most satisfying part of the whole story. Say your laundromat pulls in $22,000 a month in revenue, right in that solid mid-range. After utilities, maintenance, insurance, and rent, a well-run location might net somewhere between 35% and 50% as pure profit. That's $7,000 to $11,000 a month in a business where you're not making sandwiches, you're not managing a staff of 20, and you're not opening the doors at 6 a.m. every single day. Some owners run multiple locations, layering that income across 3, 4, 5 laundromats, and suddenly you're looking at a genuinely serious income stream from a business that most people drive past without a second thought. And here's the twist that makes this whole thing feel almost unfair. Laundromats are one of the few small businesses banks actually love lending against. Why? Because the equipment itself is collateral, the cash flow is predictable, and the failure rate, when it's run properly, is lower than almost any other retail concept. That's why you'll see laundromats get financed through SBA loans more easily than, say, a restaurant, which banks treat like a coin flip. So is it actually the golden goose it looks like from the outside? Kind of. But only if you respect the business for what it actually is. It's not lazy money. It's not set it and forget it. It's a slow, unglamorous machine, pun very much intended, that rewards people who take maintenance seriously, who pick their location with real data instead of gut feeling, and who treat those idle 45 minutes a customer spends waiting as a genuine opportunity instead of dead time. At the end of the day, the laundromat business proves something kind of beautiful about how money actually works. The most boring businesses are often the most reliable ones, because boring means people need you every single week, whether the economy's booming or falling apart. You're not selling a want. You're selling a need. Clean clothes, wrapped in a business model that, if you run it right, quietly hums along generating cash while everyone else is chasing something flashier. And that, more than anything, is the real economics of owning a laundromat.